I didn't plan to follow him that night. I told myself I was being paranoid, insecure, dramatic, but something inside me wouldn't stay quiet. So I parked across the street, lights off, engine off, and waited. My hands were shaking so badly I had to sit on them. I watched his car pull into the driveway of a house I had never seen before. It wasn't a hotel. It wasn't his office. It wasn't anywhere he had ever mentioned, just a small house in a quiet neighborhood. He stepped out of the car, and before I could even process what I was seeing, the front door opened. A little girl ran out. She couldn't have been older than 5. She ran straight into his arms. And that's when I heard it, clear as day. "Daddy!" My husband didn't hesitate. He picked her up, kissed her forehead, and smiled the same smile he gives me every morning. That was the moment my entire marriage collapsed. Because in that second, I realized I wasn't the only woman who called him husband, and I wasn't the only family he came home to. But let me tell you how it all started. If you had asked me a week ago, I would have told you I was lucky. 8 years of marriage, no scandals, no public fights, no dramatic breakups, just stability. We met when I was 24. He was charming, calm, responsible, the kind of man who opened doors, the kind who remembered small details, the kind who made you feel safe. And for years, I believed I was safe. We built a life together, a small house, Sunday morning routines, shared grocery lists, late-night conversations about the future. Our friends used to joke that we were relationship goals. We didn't post much online. We didn't need to prove anything. We were solid. At least, that's what I thought. He kissed me goodbye every morning before work, called me during lunch breaks, held my hand in public. There were no obvious warning signs, no lipstick on collars, no strange perfume, no disappearing acts. If anything, he was dependable, predictable, comforting. And maybe that's why I never questioned anything. Because when you trust someone completely, you don't go looking for cracks in the foundation. You assume the house is strong. You assume the walls will hold. You assume the person sleeping next to you at night is exactly who they say they are. But looking back now, there were cracks. I just didn't want to see them. It didn't happen all at once. There was no sudden shift, no big fight, no dramatic moment. Just small things. The kind of things you can easily ignore. He started coming home later than usual. At first it was extra meetings. Then it became traffic. Then last-minute deadlines. I didn't question it. Work gets busy. That's normal. But what wasn't normal was the way he carried his phone. It was always face down, always within reach, always on silent. He used to leave it anywhere, on the couch, on the kitchen counter, next to me in bed. Now, it never left his pocket. He changed his password. When I noticed and asked about it, he laughed, said it was a security update, said I was overthinking. And maybe I was, because I didn't want to be that wife, the suspicious one, the insecure one. So I told myself it meant nothing. But then the conversations changed. He was physically there, but emotionally somewhere else. Sometimes I'd be talking and he'd just nod, not really listening, not really present. There were nights he rolled over in bed and didn't even say goodnight. That used to be our thing. Good night and I love you. Every single night, no matter what. Until one day, it just stopped. And I remember lying there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, trying to convince myself that marriages go through phases, that this was temporary, that this wasn't what it felt like. Because deep down, I think I already knew something wasn't right. I just wasn't ready to admit it. And then came the first real red flag. It wasn't a hotel receipt. It wasn't a lipstick stain. It wasn't a message notification. It was something so small. I almost laughed at myself for noticing it. I was cleaning out his car. He had asked me to grab something from the glove compartment. When I opened it, a folded piece of paper fell onto my lap. It was thick, like construction paper. I picked it up, unfolded it, and froze. It was a child's drawing. Crayons, stick figures, a small house, a tall man standing next to a little girl. Above them, written in uneven handwriting, "Me and Daddy." I remember staring at it for a long time, trying to process what I was looking at. We don't have children. We've never had children, not together, not separately. At least, that's what I believed. I flipped the paper over. There was a name written on the back. Emma. I didn't recognize it. Not a niece, not a cousin, not a coworker's kid. Nothing. When he came home that night, I asked him casually. I showed him the drawing, and for a split second, just 1 second, his face changed. It was quick, but I saw it. Shock, then recovery. "Oh," he said, "that's from a coworker's daughter. She visits the office sometimes." He smiled, too quickly, too smoothly, and handed it back to me like it meant nothing. But it didn't feel like nothing, because something about the way he said it felt rehearsed. And that's when the unease turned into something heavier. Not suspicion, not yet, just a quiet fear. And from that moment on, I started paying attention. After the drawing, something shifted inside me. I didn't confront him again. I didn't accuse him. I didn't argue. Instead, I started watching. At first it felt ridiculous, like I was spying on my own husband, counting the minutes he spent in the shower, noticing how quickly he flipped his phone over when I walked into the room, memorizing the tone of his voice when he said he was working late. I hated myself for it. This wasn't who I was. I trusted him. I had always trusted him. But trust, once cracked, makes everything look suspicious. I started checking small things: his car mileage, his work schedule, the times he left and came home. Nothing dramatic, just patterns. And the more I paid attention, the more I noticed how careful he had become. He used to leave his phone charging in the kitchen overnight. Now it stayed under his pillow. He used to tell me details about his day. Now it was fine. Short, closed, distant. One night, while he was in the shower, his phone buzzed on the nightstand. I wasn't going to touch it. I told myself I wouldn't. But my heart was pounding so loudly, it felt like it was pushing me forward. I picked it up. The screen was locked, but the notification preview showed one word: miss you. No name, just a number. And before I could process it, the bathroom door opened. I dropped the phone back exactly where it was, my hands shaking. He stepped out, towel around his waist, looked at me, and for a second, I wondered if he could see the fear written all over my face. But he just smiled, like everything was normal, like our life wasn't quietly unraveling. That night, I barely slept. I stared at the ceiling again, the same ceiling I had stared at weeks before. Only this time, the feeling wasn't confusion. It was clarity. Because deep down, I knew this wasn't insecurity anymore. It wasn't paranoia. It wasn't imagination. Something was happening, and whatever it was, he was hiding it. And that's when I made a decision. If he wouldn't tell me the truth, I would find it myself. It was almost 9:40 p.m. We were already in bed. The lights were off, the room was quiet. Then his phone vibrated. Not once, not twice, 3 times in a row. He grabbed it instantly. Too instantly. The glow from the screen lit up his face, and I watched his expression change. Concern. Alert. Then something else. Something I couldn't name. He sat up quickly. "It's work," he said. "They need me. Emergency meeting." At 9:40 p.m., I didn't respond right away. I just watched him move around the room. Too fast, too focused. He didn't complain, didn't sigh, didn't act annoyed the way he normally would about late calls. He dressed quickly, grabbed his keys, phone already in his hand. "Don't wait up," he said, and kissed my forehead. That same familiar kiss, the one that used to make me feel safe. The front door closed, and the house went silent. For a moment, I stayed in bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to talk myself out of what I was thinking. Maybe it really was work. Maybe I was spiraling. Maybe I was about to ruin my own marriage with suspicion. But then, my phone buzzed. Location sharing unavailable. He had turned it off. My heart didn't race at first. It dropped. Heavy. Cold. That was it. That was the moment calm turned into certainty. I threw the covers off. My hands were shaking as I grabbed my jacket. I didn't overthink it. I didn't plan it. I just moved. Out the door, into my car, engine on. Headlights off at first. I pulled out slowly, keeping distance, trying not to be seen. My breathing became uneven, too fast, too loud. I could see his taillights ahead of me, red, leading somewhere I had never followed him before. Every turn he made felt like another piece of truth I wasn't ready to face. This wasn't the direction of his office. This wasn't the highway toward downtown. He was going somewhere else, and deep down, I knew. Whatever waited at the end of that drive was going to change everything. His car slowed, turned, and pulled into a quiet neighborhood I had never seen before. Not luxury, not run down, just quiet. Too quiet. I parked 2 houses behind him, turned off my engine, left my headlights off. My hands were cold on the steering wheel. I watched him step out of the car. He didn't look around, didn't check his phone. He just stood there for a second, like he was preparing himself. Then he walked toward a small house with a porch light on. The door opened before he knocked. My chest tightened. I couldn't see clearly from where I was, just shadows moving inside. I stepped out of my car, slowly, closing the door as quietly as I could. Every step toward that house felt heavier than the last. My mind was screaming, "Don't do this. Turn back. Go home." But my feet kept moving. As I got closer, I heard something. Not laughter, not music. A cough. Soft. Weak. Then, a small voice. "Dad?" I froze. My heart didn't race, it stopped. Dad. Silence followed. Then I heard him, his voice, soft, gentle, the way he used to speak when he was comforting me. "I'm here." I moved closer to the window, just enough to see inside. And that's when I saw her. A little girl, maybe 6, sitting on a couch wrapped in a blanket, her skin pale, eyes tired, and she was looking at him like he was her entire world. He knelt in front of her, held her small hands in his, and his shoulders, they were shaking. He wasn't guilty. He wasn't distracted. He wasn't in love with someone else. He was breaking. A woman stood nearby. Not young, not glamorous, just exhausted, watching him with a look that wasn't romantic, but worried, serious. Medical papers were on the table. Hospital bracelets, prescription bottles. I felt my throat close. This wasn't an affair. This wasn't betrayal. This was something else. Something I wasn't prepared for. The little girl coughed again, and he pulled her into his chest, like he was trying to protect her from the world. And then she said it again. "Dad, are you staying tonight?" Tears filled his eyes, and for the first time since I followed him, I felt something worse than anger. I felt confusion and fear. Because if he wasn't cheating, then what had he been hiding? And why didn't he trust me enough to tell me? I stepped back from the window, my entire reality shifting. The man I thought I was losing was standing inside that house, already lost in something much bigger.